Carla Hinton reporting for the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. I'm here in the studio with Pat Gilliland, a former religion editor here at the Oklahoman. I invited her to talk about the controversy that surrounds the National Day of Prayer observance this year. Most people may know that the National Day of Prayer was ruled unconstitutional by a federal judge in Wisconsin on April 15th. U.S. District Judge Barbara Crabb from Wisconsin's Western District Court ruled that the government cannot enact laws supporting a day of prayer and use its authority to influence an individual's decision whether and when to pray. Now, Congress established the day in 1952, and in 1988 they set the first Thursday in May as the day for presidents to issue proclamations asking Americans to pray. Now, the Obama administration has said it will appeal Crabb's ruling, and that she even said that the observance won't be prohibited until all appeals are exhausted. So the National Day of Prayer will be observed in Oklahoma and around the country on Thursday, and it's never been a more hot topic than it is now. So thanks, Pat, for coming in to talk to me about this.
Well, and thank you for having me come in to talk. As you know, since I've not been religion editor in that time, I have continued to follow the religion news. I help edit that, and I enjoy our conversations that we've had through the years about subjects such as National Day of Prayer and some of the issues of religion versus government.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people may not know it, but Pat is one of the first people I come to when things of this nature come about, or anything that's a hot topic in religion, because she used to cover it, and she's just a good person to talk to about it, and she understands some of the issues. So one of the first things I wanted to ask you is, were you surprised when the judge's ruling became public? Were you surprised at all?
Well, no, Carla, not the way things are now. It seems like every day there's some new challenge to things that involve prayer or religion and government. Mm-hmm. And so it was just a matter of time, I guess, until some judge would say, I think this is unconstitutional. I think what has been interesting to me is some of the reaction to it. And that I was real curious when I saw it. It's like, what will the president do? What will Congress do? What will the courts do? And ultimately, what will that judge do?
Right. Yeah, I was surprised too, in a way, but not so, because I guess in recent years there have been more and more people, particularly here in Oklahoma, people of other faiths and maybe atheist groups, pagan groups, who have not been so. They've not wanted to give the National Day of Prayer a slide. If that's the right way of putting it. They've wanted to challenge it, and here we have a judge who actually is saying, hey, this is, I'm challenging this.
Right. And as you know, when you asked me to talk about this, I looked back through the years that I had covered it, and I covered it for about 9 years, the National Day of Prayer. And like the first day, even a rabbi was saying, we think this is a great thing. And the second year already, a rabbi was saying, prayer is fine, and even like a National Day of Prayer is fine, but the concern that they expressed at that time was, it seemed like it was the National Day of Prayer and the activities in Oklahoma were being organized by clearly Christian groups.
Okay.
And so it's like national prayer is one thing, and then is it Christian prayer is another thing. But I really think what has happened now is it's almost like, I think at that time, prayer wasn't challenged really, but it was like, is this a Christian prayer or is this a national, universal prayer? But now I think there are people who actually oppose any prayer or religion that is, quote, sanctioned by government.
Right. And you bring up an interesting point, too, because, we know already that the Obama administration has said that it won't have an observance at the White House this year. And I think that's interesting because President Bush, apparently before him, had the observance. But see, that's a big difference, because if the president is actually having an observance in the White House, there's a big difference. And I think, and people may not realize this, that may have had something to do with this. That actually, the president actually having it is different, from them proclaiming that, people should go out and pray and do this, but the president's actually having something. I actually think that might have had something to do with this. I don't know.
Right, and it might not.
Right.
I don't know. And just, on the way one thing leads to another. It is interesting, though. I mean, because President Obama obviously cares about faith, and I mean, it's not like he's anti-faith or anti-government. And in fact, it was in news recently, I think, that he made a point of visiting Billy Graham.
Right.
That's
right.
And it's like Billy Graham couldn't come to the White House, but he went to Billy Graham's house.
Right.
And so I think that there is a long tradition, and I don't really think President Obama has changed this,
right.
of respect and support for religion among the leaders. But I think the thing that's really coming more to the forefront and is the controversy, is the contention,
right.
is just how far can government go in sanctioning prayer or things that involve religion or prayer.
Now, apparently this year, like I said, told you that there are going to be two different observances, or actually several different observances for the evangelical Christians for National Day of Prayer, but there's also going to be the Forum on Pluralism. But the thing that I thought was real interesting is that everything else is kind of up in the air. I mean, everybody will have to wait on the appeals process for the National Day of Prayer, and then also we'll have to wait to see if President Obama is actually going to issue the proclamation for National Day of Prayer. I mean, that's something that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
He said he is.
He said he is.
So was the latest, we'll have to see. But I think, what's your opinion about the fact that there are a lot of organizers around Oklahoma who are saying that their events, they expect a lot more people at their events?
Well, I think that doesn't surprise me, that's the feeling that they have. And I think it won't surprise me if, in fact, they do have greater participation. I also know that it won't surprise me if the numbers really aren't that much different, because it does take effort to break out of your routine and go to the Capitol, to the courthouse, or even just to a church on that day, on that day to pray. I know I will be very interested in seeing, the report on how it goes. I will be very interested.
Right.
This story is continuing.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, thanks, Pat. Thanks for coming and talking to me about this. And I know we'll all be, anxious to see what happens. This is Carla Hinton reporting for the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. Read more about this issue in the Oklahoman.